Anybody who's here for the first time today, we hope that you certainly come away with some valuable information and enjoy it and are empowered and come back and join us for future sessions. I've got too many things in my hand here, so just bear with me. So my name is Maran Gour. I'm the host of the events. I'm a real estate broker here in Burlington. My specialty is working with older adults. I'm what's called a seniors real estate specialist and a lifestyle 55 master. So I help people navigate through the maze of legal and financial and emotional issues that accompany the sale of a property or an estate sale. And this event came together this time last year. Last June was our first event. Today is actually a special day because, as I said, we started last June. It was May. I just said, okay, we need to do something here. There had been a little bit of a void in the community in terms of having seniors events, so we took the bull by the horns and said we're gonna launch this in June. In June we did. And at the onset, we had 65 people come. So first time out of the gate, 65. And now we're up to sometimes 120, 130 people. So it's clearly there's a need in the community, and we're committed to continuing this as long as you keep coming. We'll be here for you. So thank you very much for coming and supporting us. We're all here for you. And I also just want to thank our educational partners, because it's without them, it would be very difficult to pull this off. And right at the onset, when I had decided that I was going to attempt to have this type of event, I reached out to some of the people that I knew and I felt that probably would have some interest, and they all jumped on quickly without hesitation. So I just wanted to extend thanks to Jeanette Bach from Fluid Senior Transitions, Neela White, Raymond James, Sarah Sachs from Smith's Funeral Home, Denise LeBlanc, she's not here today, she's actually dealing with a family in crisis, and Irene Gioba, 360 Downsizing, they were right there from the get-go as well. Paul Cuttajar from Senior, they're called Senior Care Access then. And then over the course of the year, we've had others join us. We've had, Meredith Yolkin is here from, Hearing Well Matters. That's a lot of things to remember, you know. The owner is Rob Hamilton. You'll see his name around town. He's a very committed and dedicated community partner. We've got Carrie Porter from Chartwell Oakville, Jared Sia, Qualicare. Actually, Jerry was one of our original ones as well, and he's a catch 'em when you can kind of guy, because he's looking after a home care business, and there's always, as you can imagine, always need in the community to provide services. And on this side, Kim Rutledge from Vista Fieldgate in Oakville. I'm also happy to say that today we have a new educational partner, Rita Talukder from Parkland Ancaster. So if you haven't had a chance to speak with any of these wonderful people, please take the time to do that. They are all here for you. They're all here committed to our older adult population, to providing services when you need them. So you never know when you're going to need them. So it's really a good idea to catch them, as another one, catch them while you can, because when you're in that position where you're potentially in a crisis or an immediate need, you'll have a reliable person to reach out to. And it would be remiss if I didn't also thank Lisa and Ida. They too, at the very beginning, when I reached out to them and said, can I get some help? Would you be able to help me? They jumped in with both feet, and I can assure you that without them, we wouldn't be running as smoothly. You wouldn't be sitting in these seats. We'd probably have maybe mats on the floor or something. But they keep us all in order, so thank you very much, Lisa. Okay, so as always today we've got lots of information to provide and to share with you. You have handouts that's got all the information of all our educational partners and our presenter. as well as mine. You've got a pen and a pad to take notes. Just for anybody who's new here, the trick with those pens is they have little nibs on the top of the pen, and sometimes a little red thing, and sometimes you think it's not writing, but actually it does. You just need to remove that little red nib. Just going to ask that you turn off your cell phones or turn them onto silent so that they're not any kind of disruption. Our presenter will ideally we'll go through the presentation, and then we'll have questions and answers at the end. We'll have a conversation, and because the room is large and I want to make sure that everybody can hear, I will run around with a microphone. So if you have a question, please wait until we get the microphone to you to ask, but we certainly want to have an engaging conversation. Today's topic, as you well know, is frauds and scams and how to stay safe and protect yourself from being scammed. Our presenter is Detective Constable Dwayne Neum, number 9111 of the Halton Regional Police Service Criminal Investigations Bureau. He's the Elder Abuse and Financial Crime Investigator for District 3, which is the city of Burlington. And Constable Neum is also a member of the Halton Regional Police Service Seniors Investigation Team and investigates criminal offenses and often speaks publicly about frauds and scams that are taking place in our community, particularly those that are targeting older adult workers. And just before I turn the microphone over to him, I just also want to mention that at the end of the presentation, please don't run out. We've got a couple of surprises for you, so you want to stick around, okay? And now on to Constable Neum.
Well, thank you, everyone. Just going to start out. I have a title that I am a police officer, but my mom calls me Dwayne, so I refer to that as Dwayne. Just a guy, one member of our service, and I'm here to talk to you about fraud and scams. Frauds and scams are a big topic. We could be here for weeks talking about them. By the time I finish this, it's probably already changing. It's a bit of a doom and gloom talk. I assure you that it's not the case. I'm hoping to make you aware and not afraid. That's my goal in doing these talks. A little bit of education goes a long ways. If you haven't been a victim of fraud yet, you will be. I have been, everybody will be, but hopefully we can have some control about how much that affects our lives, monetarily or with our personal information. So I'm going to go through the slideshow. I'm not really familiar with it. It's supposed to be our service slideshow, but I got cheat notes because I talk quite a bit about different things that aren't always on there, and it's always changing. So with my role in Burlington, any offense that happens to an older adult, 65 and older, comes across my desk. 95% of that is frauds and scams and things like that. And the odd time we have some elder abuse issues, which I work with a team of investigators for that. In Halton, we have I have two colleagues, one in Oakville and one in Halton Hills in Milton. And then we have a resource officer as well. So there's a team of about 3.5, on paper. We do our best to get out and do these types of talks because if you don't tell us what's going on in the community, we don't have any idea. And unfortunately, in these types of things, scams are embarrassing and people don't call us. So we know that nationally, only 5 to 10% report these crimes. And I have some statistics I'll read to you. It's just incredible how much money these bad guys are getting from us. Let's see if I can do this paper button thing here. So what is a fraud or scam? It's simply a deceit or lie for a financial gain. There's nothing more to it. If somebody steals something from you, you're aware of it at the time. But a fraud, quite often, or all the time, you're not aware of it at the time. It's usually in hindsight you figure out what's happened. There's always two common elements of every fraud out there, no matter how complex or how simple. The first is usually some sort of emergency. They're trying to force you into acting right now, not giving you time to think it out, not giving you time to talk to others. The second part is secrecy, a gag order. They'll have you lie to the bank to get your own money, which should be a big red flag. And they'll tell you not to tell anybody, right? So that's the most common two components of a fraud. So why do they target older adults? Seniors is a term, older adults is a term. We'll use both. Many live alone. You're isolated in the community. 90% of older adults want to age at home. You've had your home your whole life. You've been there, you're comfortable, it's home, so you want to stay there. So they target you because of that. a misconception that you have a lot of income. You're the most successful group in the history of Canada financially. Like it or not, that's just the case. My kids are never going to be able to afford a house the way things are going, and I'm sure that people said that a long time ago. But that's just out there. There's just I know I'm one of the older guys in my police service, so I have equity and I can afford to live in Burlington, fortunately. But a lot of our newer, younger recruits just can't because the price index has gone through the roof. But it's a fantastic place to live. We have an amazing community here, right? Vulnerable, lonely, and trusting. So I was at a conference last week and the word trust come out and we were talking amongst colleagues. And trust is sometimes deemed to be a weakness by people after they've been victimized. But don't let it be. Trust is not a weakness, right? And they prey on you and they make you feel bad about something that they've tricked you into. But trust is not a weakness. Remember that. And often, sometimes as we get older, we get a little more forgetful. And sometimes dementia kicks in and we have people that are affected by it. It's not everybody. Everybody that gets older doesn't get dementia. We know that. But that's often what they target. That's the reason they give why they target it, even though it's not really true. So this is a big bag of worms, so to speak. How do they get your information? I'm just going to click through these real quick here, because all of these are true. So obituaries. It's a hot topic. I know traditionally when you put obituary out, you want to mention everyone in your family. You've lost a loved one, but if you're a bad guy trying to assemble information on somebody, you know everything about them just through an obituary, a traditional obituary. Many people are changing, putting out celebration of life type comments, not putting full details that aunt and uncle lived here for 35 years, worked at so-and-so for so long, has a sister here, there's so much information in there. And it's gotten to the point where they don't even have to really work for it. With artificial intelligence, they put in their program, it runs the obituaries, and it's gathering intelligence on all of us. So somehow they tie all these different people to you, and it starts to network, and they assemble files on us. There's bad guys out there in other parts of the world, and here, but more in other parts of the world, that are trying to assemble information on us so they can target us. If they call you and they know a few people in your family, it's much more believable than if they just cold call you. As far as some of these other things like dumpster diving, that's kind of an old idea. Stolen wallets, they usually ditch them. We'll talk about that a bit more. Even intercepting mail is a little less frequent than it used to be. A lot of stuff's electronic now. It's out there though. People are trying to get information on each and every one of us. So again, how do you protect yourself? So I get a bunch of few more things up here, but I have some extra notes. So social media. I'm going to use some personal examples here because that's the only way I know how to be. My mom says it's okay, my wife says it's okay, my son doesn't like it, but too bad. So my mom, she loves Facebook. My family's spread out a little bit across the province. She has great grandbabies and grandbabies, and she likes to keep in touch. But she gets hacked, or she was getting hacked all the time. I have a sister that works for the Ontario Provincial Police. Between the two of us, we're always checking her settings. But it's a fantastic tool to keep in touch with loved ones that you can't always see every day or know what's going on. It's great. But it gets hacked all the time. So it's important in something like Facebook, in any social media platform, that you set your security settings high. If you don't know what that means, get somebody to help you out. You only want people that know you to access any of your information. You don't want anybody else to have access to it, because they're going to copy it, pretend that they're you, and they're going to send friend requests out. Again, it's called mining. They try to get information on you. So it's important that you regulate your information from just strangers out there in the world. Again, mom was hacked 2 or 3 times. She's doing okay now. I mean, she hasn't been hacked for a while. Online shopping is another thing. People sometimes like it. I love Amazon. I don't know about everybody else. It's convenient, right? But if you have a gold card with a really high credit line and that gets hacked and they get into your finances that way, they can be very detrimental to your financial well-being. So a strategy that way, you get a small credit card, maybe $1,000 limit on it, use it. If that gets hacked, you're at $1,000. I'm a cheap cop, I'll still be angry, but won't be out if it's a lot of, if it's my bigger credit card. So it's just a strategy. You can move money over and pay for it instantly. Pins and passwords. It was a sad day when I got these glasses. They're bifocals, they transition in light, all that sort of stuff, but as a younger person I thought, But when I go to a pin pad, I couldn't see the numbers anymore. And they're all small, so you need to protect them. And we're gonna talk a bit more about that. Tap is the way to go with this. Although I know a lot of people don't like it, it's a security feature that we have for that very reason. Again, I won't touch too much on these. This is the big one. Never click on anything that you don't know where it came from. On your computer, a text, any which way. You have no idea what's there. It may be something you think, but you don't know where it came from. You don't know what's there. Without getting too specific, it could be all bad. Bad news getting into your phone, getting into your computer, initiating some bad guy calling you. I call them bad guys because I have other names, but it seems like the most appropriate name. It sends off like a bell for them to call you and to try doing their pitch on you. So it's important that you never click on them. You get them all the time. Usually when I'm presenting, my phone will go off 5 times of them trying to scam, right? And I'll get into that too a little bit. I've been scammed by as a Desjardins customer. They have my information, just the way it is. So I get to they try to scam me all the time. So we're gonna go through some common scams here. When I say common, they're always evolving. Some of these you've probably heard of. We have some good news on a few of them. But they're always changing, always evolving. They're getting better. And, we'll get into it here. So this is the Grandparent scam. Everybody's probably, hopefully, has heard of this now. And hopefully we don't get it again anytime soon, although Waterloo has started a new group of bad guys, we'll call them. They're gonna call you up, they're gonna say they had a cold during some sort of an accident. Typically it's always the same. You're not sure, but it's usually at night, and they're invoking that sense of emergency. You gotta do it now or else they're crying. You know, I ran a lady, she was pregnant, she had a little car, or a little child in the car. Here, I'm gonna hand you to my lawyer, which is his buddy sitting beside him. So sometimes you'll say, I always tell this story. My wife's grandmother got approached with this, and the line was, "Oh, Grandma, it's your favorite grandson. Oh, Sean, is that you?" So now it's a big joke in our family that Sean's the favorite grandson. It's you end up giving information because they've engaged you emotionally. You want to give some help to somebody, it's your loved one, or they're portraying to be your loved one, so they got you right away. If you're on the line more than 20 seconds, they know they've got you. So a lot of times they say they're on the way to get some cold medication, or they're doing something like their voice isn't quite the same, but you know, they know a little bit of information. They might even know that somebody's gone on vacation someplace, or a location. They might know a name. They're pretty good depending on what they have on you out there in your file. It's usually an indication of somebody's been arrested, they need bail money, I know the judge is okay, go to the bank. It's never more than $10,000 because that kicks in the Ontario Security Commission's flags and all that sort of stuff. And if you don't do it, he's going to be held, and you know, who knows what's going to happen. Don't tell a banker that you're going to take this money, because the banks are going to challenge you while you're taking this money out. So a red flag, if you have to lie to your bank to get your money, probably a scam, right? And then they're going to have somebody come to your house and pick it up. That's what they're going to do. It's nobody. They're going to give fake police officers' names. One was Scarborough Police they were representing. They don't really know our language really well, but they're pretty well versed in some stuff. In Canada, most people don't have to deal with this system. We don't do it that way. A little bit more of American TV influence there, but we don't do things that way. And again, after the money's sent, sometimes they'll call back saying, "Oh, judge changed his mind, there was an injury," and they keep digging and digging and digging until you figure it out. So what you need to do in this is hang up the phone. Don't take the number they've given you, because if it's me calling you as a real police officer, it's okay that you call somebody and check into things and call me back. I'm okay with that. There's nothing that needs to be done right now. And I can't take money from you. Under the Police Services Act, or it's called something else just recently, but I'm not allowed to take cash from people except for one small deposit if I've arrested in your other province. And that's only $500, that's it. Only the court can impose that. They don't send anybody to your house to collect it. It's just not the way it happens here in Canada. So don't fall for this scam. This scam, I have some notes here if I can juggle all this. This is a win for us here in Ontario. On April 14, 2024, 14 people charged in an interprovincial grandparent scam targeting seniors. As a press release by the OPP. It was a joint forces operation with the OPP, Halton Police, York, Toronto, Hamilton, Durham, and several Quebec police services. They arrested 14 people and laid 56 charges. It's an organized crime group costing Canadians millions. They aimed at seniors with a landline. Open information, right? Open source information. Anybody can go online and find out your phone number through Canada 411, your last name, usually an initial, and where you live, right? It's open information. The victims range from 46 to 95. So what happens in this project is, in Canada, it takes we call it a Part 6 warrant. We have to write a really long warrant and prove to the court that we need to put wiretaps in these people's offices, cars, their homes, anything we can find out about them. We have a pretty high threshold to meet to do it. But we had this Part 6 wires up, so we were listening to these scammers scam people. From January 22nd, 2024 to April 8th, 2024, police identified 126 victims who lost approximately $739,000. It was an organized crime group. Of the 126 victims, 15 were re-victimized multiple times, losing more than $243,000. The investigators were able to recover 559 losses. 14 were arrested in Montreal. So this is an organized crime unit out of Montreal that had people all across Canada with this scam. Hopefully it's gone, but once one guy group gets put down, then another one pops up. It's a grandparent scam. It's the same scam as we were just talking about, the grandparent scam they call it. So we think we've shut them down, but unfortunately our court system's overwhelmed. They're behind 150,000 cases across Ontario, and frauds just don't have the big wow factor in court. There's no physical injuries to people, and the court time typically goes to those types of offenses. So for prevention, every family knows a lot about their loved one. Ask a personal question. If it's generic stuff, have a code word within your family. I don't think it has to be that complex. But even like birthdays, first dog, something personal that only your loved one would know. You can ask that. They're going to hang up probably right away, or they'll try to blow it off, or they're not going to talk to you. Be suspicious all the time. People are trying to take your money. Unfortunately, the government takes half or whatever, but the rest of these bad guys are trying to get the rest from us, and it's our money. We don't want to give it to them. There's no way. So just be suspicious when somebody's trying to get your money. The best way to screen these things is to screen your calls. We have the no-call list, which is fantastic if it was effective in Canada. These people aren't calling you from necessarily Canada. They can use technology to say they're from California or Saskatchewan or wherever they want to. We all get them, and it's just to screen them. If it's important to leave a message, you can call them right back. It's not a number you don't recognize from a loved one or somebody that familiar. Then just let it ring. Hang up the phone and call your loved one. That's probably the best way to do it. Or call it's usually a grandchild, call the parents, or call somebody in the family. They're probably going to answer the phone, or they're not involved in this in any way, shape, or form.
Smart and knows exactly what to say. When they called Dave and Georgie Bartolotta earlier this month, they didn't know they were being scammed until it was too late.
On February 1st, Georgia and Dave Bartolotta got a call from someone claiming to be their grandson.
Grandma, I got a call, so I'm going to the drugstore to get some medicine. And I hit a lady in a car, she was pregnant and screaming at me.
The couple revisited what happened that morning. Georgia says she passed the phone to Dave and took over from there, talking to someone claiming to be their grandson's lawyer.
And the next thing you know, they're trying to resolve the issue by
posting bail so that he doesn't have to spend the night in jail overnight.
They were told to go to the bank and take out $8,000. Instructed not to tell the teller the truth about why they're taking out the money because it could impact their grandson's court case.
Bank was wonderful. They did ask me what I was using it for. I told them I was using it for vacation and we paid cash. It was, you know, took the price down, et cetera, et cetera.
Within 3 hours of the first phone call, this man was at their door to collect the cash. Georgia took the man's picture, followed him down the driveway, but their money was gone.
It's just mind-boggling how they think of this stuff and your brain just kind of keeps it going. And then all of a sudden, like, when it's all over and done, it's like, oh my goodness, like, how did this happen to us?
I just wish I had thought more about it before I started doing things. But given the love you have for your grandchildren and your family members, it just took a change.
Every police department in the country will say they're not alone. Grandparent scam is happening every day.
It's hard to say how many times because according to the Canadian Fraud Center, only 5 to 10% of these are being reported to police.
The Barlottas lost $8,000 that day, but other seniors have been scammed out of a lot more.
We've had cases where folks have almost lost $120,000. So it's a significant financial loss. But more than just the financial loss, it's the impact that these victims have to live every day, the trauma of hearing their family member possibly injured somebody or possibly injured themselves. That terror never leaves them.
So I'd like to give them a pat on the back for coming forward to share this. And everybody's Chris Perkins too, but it's hard to admit when you've been taken, right? You feel a little foolish, but it's important that they do this. They share so nobody else can get it, or maybe they deter others from getting taken. This is one example of one scam. There's so many out there, but this is a big one. It's still popping up, but it's not as organized as it was in April. It'll be back again. And I think we have another one after this too.
There's a sinister scam to tell you about tonight targeting Canadian seniors, and it's on the rise. It targets the elderly, pressuring them to hand over cash to save a family member. From January to August of this year, almost 600 seniors lost a total of nearly $5 million. That's double the amount in all of 2021. Here's CTV's Vanessa Lee on the fraudsters preying on the most vulnerable.
Like hundreds of Canadian seniors this year, Eileen Lawson received a terrifying call she won't soon forget.
They knew my name.
She was told her granddaughter was in police custody after being in a car accident with a loaded gun found in the trunk.
I was totally freaked out. I was shaking, which is not normal to me. And all I could think about is my granddaughter being in a cell, locked up there.
The caller told Lawson her granddaughter would be released if she paid a $10,000 cash bond. But there was a gag order. She had to keep quiet. Once she handed over the money, she realized it was all a lie. She is sharing her story in hopes no one else will fall victim.
Every night when I go to bed, I relive it.
Police across the country are seeing a rise in criminals using what is known as grandparent scams, which have been swindling seniors out of retirement savings for more than a decade.
What we're seeing locally is that there's an in-person element. It's not just online, and that's concerning to me.
It's not only financial consequences, there's also emotional consequences, where these victims usually you're going to have a sense of fear, discouragement, shame.
Police say seniors who get such a call should hang up and not provide any information to the caller and not send any money. Call family members right away, especially the family member in question, and report the crime.
Be mindful or be careful with what you post online. Scammers can use details shared on social media platforms.
Eileen Lawson got her $10,000 back from her banks as a gesture of goodwill. She is among the lucky ones. Police say too often, all of that hard-earned money is gone. Omar.
Vanessa Lee in Montreal tonight. Vanessa, thank you.
So there's a couple examples. It's well said, but again, these things are always going to evolve. They're going to change. So just again, be aware, but don't be afraid. If you get called from somebody that's stranger that's trying to trick you, for lack of better terms, into something, do your homework. There's no urgency. My dad always told me growing up that if I got thrown in jail, I could stay there for the night and I'll get you out in the morning. I doesn't do that, right? My stepson probably knows that very well himself. You got yourself, and this is Canada, we don't lock anybody up. You're gonna get out tomorrow anyways, that's just the way it is. So just be mindful of that, there's a lesson in there. Scammers can play on that if we want, but we can hopefully shut some of these common scams down. If they evolve, we tend to try to put out educational things through the media, through our community partners. Anyway, we try to share it. If you hear about them, share them. That's the best part. Just sharing within our community and talking about it. And then the bad guys have no ammunition to come after us for our money. These scams are going to continue. All right, I always throw this out there, but lately I've been showing up a bit. If anybody wants to come and take this mic and give me a full spiel on the attraction and how it actually works, here's the phone, or the microphone. Tell me about cryptocurrency. I know we can make money on it, but most people do not, right? I was at a conference 3 weeks ago. The Bank of Canada, and all the banks, major banks are there. Most people do not make money in cryptocurrency. I have some examples where you do, but it's not for me. It's I don't understand the dynamics. I know how it works. I can find where your money went. I can have people track it. I can talk it a little bit, but I don't know the attraction. Other than if I was trying to launder money and I was a bad guy, it's a great resource. The grandparent scams, if I get $10,000 from a few people, I put it in Bitcoin cryptocurrency ATM and I can pull it out somewhere else right away. It's great for bad guys. I don't know why most people would be interested, but we'll go through it anyways. The number one, top 10 senior frauds in 2023. This is from the Center of Canadian Associated Forensic Center, CAFC. It's Canadian Anti-Fraud Center, sorry, I had a hard time getting there. This is just last week I got this. The number one scam in 2023, remember these stats are 5 to 10% of what we know is actually happening, was there was 1,059 victims for 110 million. So times, do the math, it's a lot of money. The second one was romance scams, but that's a different topic. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, there's several different kinds, and gift cards in the lump in there, are not currency. You can't go pay your taxes with a gift card, or if you put an ATM into an ATM machine. You just can't, it's not currency. Bad guys are always trying to direct you to do these things. If somebody's telling you to go buy gift cards to pay off your Visa bill, that's a scam. If somebody's directing you to go to, they always send people to Canadian Tire in Burlington, I don't know why. You want to go to Canadian Tire and buy gift cards, you can't pay your bills with it. They're great gifts to give to loved ones or to receive if you don't know, what you want to get somebody or whatever, but they're not currency. You have to think that. So somebody that's pretending to be somebody in authority and is directing you to get gift cards, it's a red flag, hang up on them. Like I was saying, Bitcoin, once it's there, you can find it on the blockchain, and it can go tell you where it went to an account. But they're getting smart. So in Canada, if you have any type of an entity here, you have to disclose this to them. So if this exchange house here, it's kind of like a bank where they take the money and move it somewhere else to somebody's accounts and directing the money. But now people are using ones that are based in, like say, China. They don't have to agree with their laws, they don't have to disclose anything to us, so the money's gone. And the bad guys know that. So I just did one the other day. It was Huawei in China. I got the money to there on the blockchain. The money's gone. I can't track it after that. So. I love when they call me and tell me I'm going to be under arrest. I'm pretty sure that you're not going to get thrown in jail for taxes. They want their money. They want you out there working or doing whatever and getting their money. The immigration fees is really community-based. So they really had a problem in the York region where people of Chinese descent were being targeted because they don't trust police coming from their home country. And there's other cultures, so it's really cultural-based as well. I haven't seen much of that here, if any, really, but it's out there. They just don't trust us in emergency situations like we were talking. I'll go through the top few here. This is the top 10 senior frauds. It was investment frauds, romance frauds, so service frauds. We were talking about this a little bit before, renovation type scams. And again, I don't want to stereotype, but we have terms, and they're usually Irish gypsies, for lack of better terms. They're going to come to your door, they're going to give you a deal, it's going to be cash. They're going to give you some fraudulent type of receipt. You look them up, you're going to do your research. They have a facade of a web page, but there's nothing to it if you start digging. They have a few pictures. They say they just did somebody's driveway down the road there, and they're in the neighborhood, and they're knocking on everybody's doors. They're going to take your cash and probably never come back. They're going to send you a picture, show you a picture. They climb up on your roof that you get shingles missing. They're going to redo your roof for $35,000, but we need materials on top of that right up front. It's a great deal, great deal. But they're scammers, they're nothing. It's not something you want to do. That's something that big you probably want to do a bit of research. There's a saying in this, and I take this from my predecessor, Derek Gray. If it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. We all know that, everyone in this room knows it, but everybody likes to save a buck. So you gotta be careful of what you put yourself into. At the end of the day, it's your money, you're all adults, you can do what you want with it, but you probably wanna feel pretty good about your decision making when it comes to this. And these guys are really good, but they're scammers. If they're gonna show up to do your driveway with pick shovels and no big equipment, probably not who you want to do it, right? The romance scam. So there's flyers at the back. I put them out every time I go to speak, and it's always the one that nobody takes. Nobody will admit to it. It's a small number, but it's a huge amount of money that's taken in these romance scams. And some of the stories I hear are incredible, so unbelievable to me, but you buy into them. Because typically they're targeting people on Facebook and places like that. They're gonna befriend you. They're gonna be a fake account, it's maybe one of your long lost friends, and all of a sudden you think you're talking to that person, and you start to build up your own image of somebody, and they refer you to somebody. Something along that line, and then you start to buy into it, because, you know, maybe you're a little lonely, you got a little bit too much time on your hands, it's the middle of January, it's cold outside, whatever. They get you to buy into it, and they start telling you things you like. But if they're telling you within 3 weeks of you never meeting them that they love you, again, I think that might be a red flag. And typically they build up a really big portfolio where they have a lot of money. They'll show you bank accounts, millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, and they'll start doing this story. And they ask for a little money, they get caught at the airport with these diamonds, and they gotta pay a tax. And there's so many different ways, but they're always trying to buy you in. Next thing you know, you've given them a fair amount of money. But they're telling you, you know, they love you, they're talking about family, which they don't have. Could be some great big biker chain smoking in the closet, for all you know. But you know, they'll have an image. The best image I've seen so far, and this group might get it, was Fabio. She didn't know who Fabio was, but his picture of Fabio was this profile picture, so I find that humorous. But it's just you have to be mindful of this. Just when you sit back and you talk about it in this room where it's safe, it seems unreasonable, but they get people all the time on it. Emergency scams we talked about. Recovery pitch. Well, the first, number one was investments. Well, the recovery pitch. You just got taken for a big amount of money, maybe $50,000 in cryptocurrency or some sort of a Bitcoin scam. They're going to call you, hey, I found it on the blockchain for 20% of that. If you can give me 20% of that up front, I can get your money back. And people give them more money, and they still don't get your money back. It's still gone. This one's been common in Burlington the last little while. We have warrants out for a few people involved, but it seems to be getting bigger. And it's a bank investor type scam, or a bank security type scam. So, I don't know if anyone in this room has tried to call their bank in the last little while. You go through their 25 questions, and finally they start to talk to you because they're assured that it's you, right? Your bank's not gonna call you and ask you to work on their behalf to catch a bad guy. They're not going to come to your house to pick up your credit cards and your debit cards and give you new ones in a week, right? That's what your bank is for. But that's what they're doing. And they're sending people to your house to get your cards, and then they go on a spending spree. My last victim lost $18,000 in 30 minutes. They went to Bolt Run Through and Square One Mall and had a heyday. It's hard to catch them. It takes me a long time to get that information because of our laws, whereas if you just don't give them the money, you don't have to worry about it. But be mindful that your banks want you to feel safe using their product. Your banks want you to feel safe in a relationship with them, because that's really what you are. It's a symbiotic relationship. Those cards actually belong to the bank. You have a user arrangement with them. They're not going to send somebody to your house. It's not going to be the manager. If you have any questions with your bank, call them or go in. That's probably the safest way. If it's inconvenient and you're tech savvy and you know how to do it online, you can freeze your accounts till you find out the answer so nobody can start taking your money. This scam keeps varying. It's changing, evolving. Like I said, I have warrants out for two. They caught the female that was involved. The male's still outstanding. But it's happening everywhere. We talk with our colleagues in other areas, and it's happening across the province. So maybe this is a new grandparent scam. But be mindful that your bank will not cold call you for stuff like that. Will not come to your house and take your stuff from you. If you have an issue with your bank, call the number on the card itself, not a number that's provided to you, because it's going to be fake as well. Or go in and talk to your banks. They're very well educated and versed on these things. They're very much aware. And they have the information right at their fingertips. They'll know what's going on right away, where it takes me 60 days to find it out, after I've got the authorities from the court to ask for it. So be mindful of that one. This one I still don't understand, but I can assure you, if you've never played the lottery, you've never won the lottery. Makes sense, right? But people still fall for it. Publishers Clearinghouse has no entity. It's not here in Canada at all. But the prize winner type mentality, they kind of pull you into it, and that's a big loss. And there's a few more in there. The top frauds in Ontario change a bit. So the service frauds and emergency frauds and identity frauds are the top three. So quite often when I talk about identity frauds, people are worried about artificial intelligence. We hear about it a lot. It's coming, it's here. But according to the Bank of Canada, again, just a couple weeks ago, they have not copied anyone's voice, created a new person based on that type of information to perpetuate a crime. The banks are aware of it. They're trying to balance it, and they're battling back and forth. They're pretty smart too. But they use AI to collect data on us. It's out there, it's easy. They can carry on a conversation in a different language with AI by just having everything translate and correct itself, make them sound a lot smarter than they really are. I've been told that I should probably use an AI for my presentation and sound make it better. It's out there. It's scary because they can learn so much and so much faster than we can absorb it. My boss, he's a pretty intelligent guy. He's been through the drug world. That's kind of his investigative background. He uses it to create files and stuff like that and presentations now. So the other side of that, bad guys are using it to get information from us. But most of us don't have enough money for them to actually take the time, have the equipment to capture our voices, create a language to scam anybody, right? It just doesn't make sense. They might do it at some point for a corporate type of fraud, but it shouldn't affect us as individuals. And we move on. Again, CRA is never going to ask for Bitcoin for payment. It just doesn't happen. So this one's probably one of the most famous scams out there, but honestly, I've been in this role for approaching 2 years now, and I haven't had one come across my desk yet. I think people are wise to this one. Again, I still love when they call this. We put on speakerphone and have a heyday with them, but I don't recommend that because they'll start crank calling you and stuff. But again, you got to think of the bigger picture of a scam. You know, they're always going to try to trick you into something that's believable, that's out there. It's the timing of the year. Another red flag, if someone's directing you to get money, it happens in life, people need money, they want to be paid. If they're sending it to 2 or 3 different banks, that should be a bit of a red flag too. If they're trying to rush you into getting a withdrawal, a red flag. Because typically you can go, you get a money order, here you go, you can deposit, you can do it all in bank, electronically. People, the banks don't really carry a ton of cash anymore. If you have a big cash withdrawal, they might not even be able to give you the money. So just be mindful of that as a red flag on the scam.
Canadians lost almost $380 million to various types of fraud in 2021. And the number one scam was investing in cryptocurrency.
Ads on social media lure investors to websites with trading platforms that look real but are fakes. An Ontario man just lost his entire savings. Pat Warren has more. We'll see what it has.
So sad, Michelle Nathan, so sad. The man from near Owen Sound started investing with just a few $100s, but eventually handed over his retirement savings. It was all a scam. He lost almost $500,000, will have to sell his house, and isn't sure what comes next.
I got caught, and I put, in hindsight, of course, a ridiculous amount of money in this and a ridiculous amount of trust in these people.
Stephen Carr of Meaford, Ontario says after watching a video on YouTube, he decided to reach out to a company which promised he could make money trading commodities, foreign currencies, and cryptocurrencies. He started off with a small investment and says it appeared his funds were going up.
What I didn't know at the time is this trading platform I was working on was a simulation. It wasn't connected to anything.
Carr says over 3 months he handed over $498,000 to criminals. He was told his investments had more than doubled, but when he went to take money out, he couldn't.
I'm devastated. I'm in the process of having to sell my house and reorganize my life. I've got maybe 2 or 3 months worth of usable cash left, and that's it.
These criminals have turned this into an actual business, and business for them, it's booming.
Jason Sietta of Alberta lost $81,000 in a crypto scam last year and started Fraud Hunters Canada, a group trying to support victims and help them recover their funds. With international boundaries and limited police resources, it's almost impossible to do.
They don't have the time or the manpower to research the sheer volume of fraud that comes through.
Carr says if you try to recover your money, you run into more scams.
I have spoken to several recovery firms, but they're all in the same boat. A lot of them are fraudulent themselves.
Carr reached out to CTV News hoping by sharing his story, he can prevent others from being scammed.
I am devastated. It's ruining me, and that's life savings. Gone. If I can get conned, then a lot of other people can get conned.
And many investment scams are linked to ads or videos on social media. You may also get a text or email claiming you can make money fast. Don't open it. It's also a scam. On your side, I'm not for it.
If it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true, right? So I've had many of these already. These recovery places have nothing on us. You have to get a license to track on the blockchain. We have licenses here in Halton. Most police services have them now. I can tell you exactly where your money went, where it exchanged, and which account. The exchanges here in Canada are really good about helping us freeze those accounts, but typically they get emptied before they're frozen. There is some recovery success stories out there, but most of the time it's gone because it's an exchange that's outside of our authority here in Canada, within our judicial authorities. It's gone. I can't demand records from them. I can't track it any further. And there's a whole bunch of different technology and ways to talk about this if you really want to, but it's one of those things, buyer beware. If you educate yourself on this and you really want to invest, I go back to you're adults. You can do what you like. Nobody's going to tell you otherwise. I do have some success stories. I know people that have made money, but if you look at how these people got contacted, in almost 100% of what I've dealt with, it was online, an old friend, a fake account. They start talking. When somebody starts chatting with you and you're typing words, you right away envision who that person is because you had a relationship with them. It's not that person. You don't know if it's that person for sure. Question them on personal stuff that only the two of you might know. Even that, I would never take investment advice off some dude that I met on Facebook or an old friend from Facebook, right? There's professionals out there that can direct you, and they deal with the markets, they deal with it. Most aren't going to tell you to do it this way. And the other thing, they always direct you, for whatever reason, it's WhatsApp. It's an app on your phone to communicate. You're always dealing with it because stuff gets erased. There's a lot of pros for them. And it's usually based out of Europe because a lot of these bad guys aren't on our soil here in Canada. So they call this scam pig butchery. They build it up, take as much money from you. They're going to show you they're making millions of dollars or making huge gains, and then all of a sudden you ask for your money back. Ooh, well, there's a tax, and you pay the rest of the money, and all of a sudden it goes to your gone. You're gone with all your money. You have no idea who they are. Who you thought you were talking to is long gone with all your money. So it's one of those things. Buyer beware. Again, to my earlier comment, if anybody wants to come up here and try to sell it, I'm okay with that, but I don't understand why people take that huge risk from somebody they met, usually on Facebook or something like that. So if you haven't received one of these on your cell phone or on your computer of some sort, you will. I get them every day. Banks aren't going to contact you this way. UPS and Purelator aren't gonna ask you for overdue accounts. Amazon's not gonna text you this way, say they've overpaid you or something like that. Just delete them. You shouldn't even really open them. If you open them, you don't know what you put into your device. If your security's not up to the latest level of security, you may allow people into your devices. So if you don't recognize where it's from, delete it. If somebody sends you, and I use Home Depot, that's my personal example. Home Depot sends me an advertisement, and it doesn't look quite right, or it's a little fuzzy. I recognize the signage for Home Depot, but when I go to click on it, I might not click on what they want me to. Like, I might go into something else that's underlying. It's like if I hold something behind this paper, you don't know what's here, but if I lift the paper or open the device, this is what's actually there, not the actual paper. If that makes any sense. You're opening something that's not really there, potentially. But if it's something that interests me, just get out of that. You can go into any search engine like Google or Yahoo or something like that, and look it up independently. You'll be fine. Don't click on that immediate source because it's a scam. Canada Post, one pops up quite a bit. That guy's been using it a bit. They're increased their security just because they've been being used quite a bit. Amazon accounts, a lot of people have them, so they play the odds. Bad guys will play the odds. They'll send them out randomly. So if there's 100 of us in this room right now, and they get 5 people that buy into their scam, and they get money from 2 of them, if you think about it across the whole GTA, they've done a pretty good job of making some money out of it. Always question it and check on your own independently of that initial contact. Usually you can figure it out pretty quick. If you're not sure, get somebody that can help you. There's no urgency to it. If they've overpaid you, too bad, I'll figure it out later. It's their money, that's their alleging is wrong, but take your time and do a little research. So we talked about this earlier. Financial institutions are never going to ask you for personal information over the phone, or they shouldn't be. They're not going to come to your house and do a home visit. They're not going to direct business over the phone or over the internet typically, unless it's controlled within your application. Online banking is very safe if it's within that application. If you're getting into it from another source, I would question. Your banks are safe, and if they're not, if it's something they've done, they'll always, almost always reimburse you. If they don't make mistakes. This is the biggest. If you take anything away from today at all, the number 1 rule, never ever give your personal information to anyone over the phone or the internet. You know, I'm 57 years old. I'm one of the older guys in our office. Been around a bit, but I remember when shredders were all the rage. You had to get a new shredder, shred all your documents. Well, it's still good advice, shred your documents, but stuff is electronic now. It's outside of our control. Other people have our information, and they're being hacked. When I started out, I said I was a victim of fraud through Desjardins. Desjardins got hacked a few years ago. All their files got exposed. Well, I know they have my information out there. And there's different apps they can check. It's out there, so they have a good chunk of my information already. I can't do anything about it, but I can control so much of it. And the second part of that is, you should be mindful of where your credit is. If you have credit, you should be mindful of where it's at. And that's with Equifax or TransUnion. I can monitor my own credit. So Desjardins, they had a court settlement, they had to give us all a 5-year application or subscription to Equifax. So I check it all the time now. I check my score rating, where my stuff is, where my payments are going, because they monitor all our credit. If you ever had to buy something significant, that's what they check. That's what a credit check goes to. So you should be aware of where it's at. And there's some examples for that too. This one, hopefully, this is another success story. I'm going to go off sidebar here. So the hot water heater scam. People have heard of that one probably. People come to your door to door, and they're going to bang on your door, they're going to come in, you need a new water heater. Even though yours is only 3 years old, it's rented from wherever, or whatever the deal is, you need a new one. And then they get in there. Well, what they used to be able to do until just last week was put a notice of security interest on your house. So if I buy a car, they can't put an interest, a lien basically on my house. Why can they do it with a hot water heater? Well, it's only been a problem in Ontario until just recently. And what they do is, next time they need a water softener, and they usually target our older adult community. I don't know what they need. Water seems fine, but it's making a lot of noise, I guess. I don't know. So you know, you have the funds, you just keep adding. So next thing you know, you have maybe $30,000, $40,000 of liens on your home. So later on, you decide to downgrade. It's been 2 years since you've had this stuff. You gotta pay those liens before you can sell your house, right? So they used to do that. So the nosys are gone. An officer from Waterloo, Detective Adam Stover's his name, has been dealing with the provincial government, the NDP and PC, and just last week, they pushed it through in one day, which is like a miracle from above with regards to our government cooperating. They've, if you have one on your registry now, they're gone. They're wiped out retroactively, and they're wiped out in the future. So should you find out or get a call that you're being sued next to a lot, please call me, because that's the next stage of the scam. The bad guys are trying to recover their $1 billion that they have out there in Ontario. They're trying to recover it. I said billion, yeah, that's how much they had on liens. Wow. And so hopefully that one's gone from us now too, because it's a devastating one. Because it would always evolve into, you know, your house has been paid off for 20 years, but now all of a sudden you've got, you know, $75,000, $100,000, $150,000 into these liens, and they find out, and then they put a reverse mortgage on, they have a high interest rate, you gotta pay it back, and they do all this trickery. Next thing you know, you're out of your house. So they had it in stages, they want their money now. It's a way for them to steal the equity in your home. So they would own your home after a short period of time, maybe 4 or 5 years, if they get you caught up in this scam. So good work by our government and Adam to get the government to change this, and hopefully that gets rid of it. But we know through different advocacy groups in the province that there's been 200 or something like that civil legal cases already filed. It's gonna come, but there's resources for that as well. Again, do not purchase any gift cards and give them to somebody, or give them any information off that card with a picture. So, I'm not sure if you're familiar with a gift card. So most gift cards have two parts to it. You have the front kind of identification part of it. There's like an activation code on them. The activation code's kind of like a scratch ticket. You scratch the back off. If I get both parts of that, I can deposit it and I can take it somewhere else. So somebody's gonna ask you to go buy these gift cards. Usually they ask for $500 at a time each card, and depending on how much they're asking for it. And once they have these gift cards, they'll ask you to take pictures of it and scratch it, and that's your payment, how you're paying for it. Doesn't make sense to me, but that's what they're telling you to do. And then the money's gone. I can't get the money back. Apple, I can usually find out where they spent it, but it's a made-up account and needs nothing evidentiary-wise. So do not give out gift cards for payments. It's not currency. Again, bank statements, mindful. Some of these bank scammers, they're into your computers before you know it. They might be in there monitoring you for some time. I told you this is a doom and gloom talk. So they get in there, all of a sudden, they're gonna contact you on the phone, on your landline more like most likely. And they're gonna tell you that, yeah, we made a mistake, we're doing this investigation, there's 30,000 in your account, check your account. So you go into your account, wow, there's 30,000, this is awesome. Meanwhile, they've gone into your savings, or they've opened a line of credit, they moved it within your own banking. You don't realize they're gonna send you to the bank and they're gonna direct you to take the money out, and they're gonna tell you to put it in Bitcoin or buy gift cards. But we know we're not gonna do that now. You go to your teller at the bank and they're gonna, no, they moved it from here. They're gonna tell you right away what's going on. So don't fall for it if they're gonna direct you to put money in cryptocurrency. And ATMs are everywhere. We have more per capita in Canada than anywhere in the world. And same with gift cards. It's not currency. So this is probably the biggest, I'm gonna say question, pain in my rear. I'll say it that way. With regards to investigations. And ladies, I use my mom as an example here again, with permission. My mom's used to be in the possession of a very large purse. She carried everything. We had Tic Tacs, we had gum, we had Kleenexes, we had everything in there. And my mom's 4'11", just a little wee thing, in her shopping cart in the child seat, right? Well, I am not a good thief, but I can go to Walmart right now and probably rip off 5 people. And these guys that are coming from other parts of the world and targeting our older adult community for their purses and wallets are coming consistently. An example that we have here in Halton and Burlington in particular. January 26th, 3 individuals flew in from Poland. They're not Polish, but they flew in from Poland on a visitor's pass and landed at Pearson Airport. They were arrested February 6th, I believe, 4th or 6th, by Hamilton. Hamilton, my partner's Hamilton, Ben Adams, and Phil Poirier, who was on the video up there earlier. They got on them and they put out a bullet, be on the lookout for these cars we found in the car. Peel arrested them, and then we started laying charges. In those few days, they were from Ottawa to Niagara Falls. I have video of them when this case finally goes, because they're on the land. We released them because we don't hold anybody in Canada, so we have no idea where they're at now. We have their passports, it's probably not the real names. But they already had return tickets for a month, so they're supposed to be here for 30 days to go back. So I don't know how many thousands of dollars total they had. But they come here, they target it, they put it into cryptocurrency or valuable items, and then they send it back. So they go home and have lots of money. That's a year's worth of work in a month. So what I suggest, again, I'm not going to tell you what to do, you're all adults. What we've converted my mother to is the over-the-shoulder type of small purse. So it's right here close to your personal space. If COVID did anything positive, the only thing they did is made us more aware of our personal space. Right? And these individuals, the bad guys, will get right up close. You won't even realize, and they're gone. They're in and out and gone in no time. They usually hit two or three people in each store. Sometimes they work in groups of 3, sometimes 5. I call them gypsies. I don't know if that's the right term, but they're coming from Europe, and they're targeting women's purses. And as soon as we arrested these guys, there's 2 more new groups that come through. So I laid 18 charges just from Burlington and Oakville, and there's 1 case in Milton that I could prove. They did more, but that's all the officers were able to gain for evidence in our district. But they're so good. They're so good in a bad way, but they're really, really good. So you need to get your stuff closer to you. You don't need to carry your social insurance number. Do you need every credit card of your own? Probably not. Are you using TAP? People don't like TAP. TAP is a security feature. You can set it, you can lock it. I used to have mine set at $100, but that gives me like a bag of milk and a bag of chips now. But you can set it at however much. And if you use, like mine's 200 now, if I use it 2 or 3 times in larger amounts, it makes me put my PIN in. But they're distracting you. I can sit here with my smartphone, probably from second row away here, and get your PIN number. Then I just have to distract you, get your card. If I get your PIN number and I punch in using your card, the banks are going to be very reluctant to reimburse you. If they steal my card and they tap a few times and I lose a couple $100, the banks probably will reimburse you. That's a security feature they put on our cards, which I think we were the first country in the world to have that. It's spread since then. It's an encrypted identification of who you are and what account, and it's hard for them to break. They're really, really good. They do distraction thefts in the parking lot. They'll just do little bumps into you. They'll be very courteous and, maybe get something on the shelf. They'll tell you that the oranges you bought are bad, just take them back. Even though the partner's right behind grabbing into your purse. So get something smaller, carry just what you need, and bring it closer to your body. Be very mindful. They're still doing it. I get probably 2 or 3 at a time, twice a week. And it's usually anywhere from, $500-$600 to several $1,000s. And guess what they're going to buy? They go to the Dollarama, all these closest stores. They'll do ATM debits and then buying gift cards because I can't trace them. It's hard to trace them, right? Because then they'll cash them and they're gone. As soon as they send it, the money's back home. Passwords are important too. I used to have a really good strategy, I thought, but I was telling him, I got told it's not the best, but passwords are a pain to try to keep up with. There's so many, you can only be so creative over a period of time. So what I started to do is put some zeros in front of a number and change it. It told me that's not the best, but I haven't been hacked yet. So, a password that you remember, something's important to you that only you know, and put like a 001. And then when you need to renew it, you can change it to like a 002. It's changed. I like the idea, but apparently it's not the best, but it's worked for me. I haven't been hacked it that way. But you need to be very mindful of not sharing that type of stuff too. I had one individual, he only lost that. They broke into his car while he was in working out. He was 90. He was at the gym at LA Fitness. They only took a couple cards, but they took a picture of his driver's license and he used his birthday. He's a very affluent individual. And when we caught the guy that stole that in Montreal, Quebec, I think he had $400,000 they got out of his account. Something like that. It was a commercial account. He never used that card. His kids ran his business at that point in time and wasn't even aware of it. It was a long battle with the bank to try to find some compensation. But it's just much well have just handed that information to the bad guys. That's probably the first thing they checked. And if they have the PIN number, they're going to hold you accountable. If the bad guys have your PIN number or a password somehow, because they track everything at the bank, they're probably not going to reimburse you. be aware of new cards. If you're not sure if it's coming in, you can get one from the bank. It takes like 2 minutes. They'll go in, they'll get rid of your new one, you punch in your pad at the teller, and they'll give you a new one. If you're not sure if it's been, if you have any issue with your bank, call your bank, they can freeze your account instantly until you're sure what's going on. They're your partners over for that. Let's go through this quick again. If you haven't played it, you haven't won it. Versus, again, huge. Tap's the way to go, like it or not, it's the best way to do it, even if you're not comfortable with it. So if you become victimized, I'm going to put what's up there. My suggestions to you would be, collect your thoughts, write stuff down instantly, collect yourself. It's not the end of the world, figure it out. And then call your bank, right away, your financial institutions who you want to call first. And I would suggest that you call us next. If it's not emergent in nature, we'll get to you eventually, and it'll come across my desk eventually. But the banks will take care of you right away. They have the authority to do that. If it's a small amount of money you've lost, and you haven't given out your PIN number, most of the time the banks are going to give you your money back. They have your PIN number, and if it's gone through your computer in your house because it hacked into your system, you're going to have a bit of a battle. You may not get any money back. Let me go back there real quick. Yeah, just make sure you get hold of your banks, and they're really good to deal with most of the time. So again, we know that 5 or 10% of people report frauds. As a police service, like any service now, resources are an issue. If we don't know what's going on in the community, if we can't hear about things in the community, the people that live in the community, which I live here too, we can't address it. If we know about it, I can't always help you. I'll help you through it, I'll help you understand it, I might be able to give you some direction, I might be able to catch the bad guy. But if we don't know, we can't address the issues. So I encourage you to call us. And we'll talk. Nobody likes to be a victim, right? We'll talk about it and we'll see what we can do. There's things I can do. I've had some successes, sometimes there's not, but we'll at least talk about it and I'll explain it why, so you'll have an understanding of why. Your little bit of information might solve a bigger crime. We used to do these joint forces projects. When we hear the noise, so to speak, in the community, what's going on, we address it. Across the province, across the country, even contacts the U.S. Secret Service and Homeland Security. They're on our side. The U.S. has better tools to investigate than we do. We have a financial institution here in Canada, FinTrack. It's an intelligence gathering financially. For me to get information from them takes a long time. The U.S., they can punch it up instantly and tell me what's going on. They have direct access. So they're great partners if we find out in time. And I'm not so sure talking to you is going to make you feel better about losing a bunch of money, but I'll give it my best shot. So the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center is a really good resource. They're an intelligence type base. John Armitt's the detective from OPP that's in charge. They have an investigative avenue. It's run by the RCMP. It's just our system that shares a lot of information there to get. It's a good resource. Elder Abuse Prevention Ontario, they have tons of resources out there. I use them for everything. Also a member here of our unit here, Halton Elder Abuse Prevention Network. Trying to build its good network. Distress centers, if you need to vent and talk to somebody, it's just kind of one of those call lines. If you don't have somebody you want to talk to, it's embarrassing. They're independent. And if you need some legal direction, you can't, you're not sure what you need, ACE is a great service just to, they'll refer you to somebody that can help you with your problem. If anybody's asking for money, other than when they come around every few years for an election, it's a scam. Well, that might be too. In Canada, if you win a lottery, you don't have to pay taxes up front. If you win anything, it's illegal for them to ask for money up front. I'm sure most of you know if you win the Powerball in the States, you lose half of it because you have to pay taxes. Well, it's not the case here. If you win here, you win. If I win 60 million, well, one, I won't be doing this anymore, but if I win 60 million, I get 60 million. That's just the way it works here, right? So, anybody's asking for money up front, it's a scam. Gift cards. Again, that sense of urgency to remember, they're always going to have that sense of urgency. They're going to try to push you. They want you to be secretive. Those are all the keys to all these. Never send money to anybody you don't know or trust. And that's do a little research before you give money to somebody you think. There's the big one, for the ladies. I've only heard of one wallet getting stolen at hundreds and hundreds of purses. It was a really big one. It's like a George Costanza big one. In the cars, don't leave stuff in plain view. What they're doing is you're loading your groceries, you put your purse in the front seat, they're distracting you and going into your purse. Again, they're really good at what they do. Be aware of what's around you. Again, this is a doom and gloom. Don't be afraid, because we live in a great place, great community. Just be aware. Just be mindful of the space around you, people around you. Your instincts are probably fine-tuned by now. Trust them. Follow your instincts. If somebody's trying to scam you, it doesn't feel right, may not have all figured out right then and there, but there's gonna be something to it. Trust your gut. Don't buy gift cards. Decisions should never be sensitive nature. So if you're in a position, it's a good deal. Again, I'm cheap, I like a good deal. But if you're in a position to buy into something, to invest in something, but it doesn't quite feel right, just step back for a minute. Ask yourself a little bit. Do I have the means to lose this money? Would it be a good decision if I talk to my spouse or my loved ones? Think about it. Again, at the end of the day, it's your money. Do what you want with it, but just give yourself an opportunity to be successful. Do your research. We talked about most of this. Screen your calls. If it comes up unknown number, it might be me, because that's how my number comes up. Just let it go through. I'll leave a nice voicemail. Hopefully you'll understand what I'm saying. Get my number, give me a call back. If it's important, they're gonna leave that message. If it's not, it's just a scammer, they're gonna go on to the next person. And safe words, I don't like that, but personal questions are really good questions. If there's somebody in your family, they're gonna know something that the bad guys don't. So there's a couple of contact numbers. The top one's just our general line. There's always somebody at the other end of that. Unless it's somebody at your house or emergency, 911 of course. And then our fraud unit, they might or might not answer. They're so far behind. They're just working it on. They started clearing October of last year. And I know our neighbors in Peel are 2 years behind. So that's how many frauds we get coming through the door. Oh, sorry, yeah. Sure.
I'll send it in the.
Send it
I'll send it in the follow-up.
Let me go through it real quick.
Yeah. But I have a question for you while we're searching. You didn't talk at all about car thefts. And I know it's a big issue, particularly if you have a Range Rover.
If you have anything, Range Rovers get stolen, they're all getting stolen. It's a problem, honestly. We hear about it every day. We're lucky in Burlington, we only lose 3 or 4 a day. You know, this is 17 a day, something like that. Until our system, I'll call it, changes, it's going to continue. They target our area because of population density. They go shopping, they go a lot in the shopping malls. They'll air tag your vehicle and they'll come and grab it later. Manufacturers aren't going to do anything about it because if they change the technology, the bad guys have it 2 weeks later, so it's not worth the cost. It is a problem, they're addressing it. We have teams involved, we keep recovering vehicles, drives our insurance up. If you buy one of those targeted vehicles, you gotta pay extra right up front for your insurance. Insurance companies are never gonna lose money, that's just not gonna happen, right? So, it is a problem. I don't know what the answer is. Range Rovers get targeted, they're number one, it's like pickups, yeah, F-150s and stuff like that, they're taking whatever they want. Maybe if they increase the distribution of vehicles to these countries that have them overseas, that might do it. I don't know what the answer is. It's to the highest levels. And I shouldn't, as a police officer, have to arrest somebody, arrest the same guy 2 days later, arrest the guy 3 days again after that. But our system's so broken right now that that's the case. So until that gets fixed, we change kind of our mindset on what we do here with restorative justice. We give people opportunity to heal and whatever. That guy should be in jail, but that's just my personal opinion on politics.
So I've heard that, tell me if this is true or not, that people, that they've got some type of scanners, so if you leave your keys by the front door, your fob by the front door, that they somehow can capture that information to be able to unlock your car.
That used to be what the case was. They don't need it. All they need is their VIN number or your windshield. They can put it in their phone and they can download it. They download a new fob and start up and go in. So, technology's there. Everything's electronic, right? So the way to solve it would be to put keys back in the car for the fob. Just if we have some questions.
I'm just going to come with the microphone.
If we don't get through all the questions, I'll be around. I'll answer everyone I can. The hard ones, I'll get back to you, but I don't usually get stumped right in there. Yes.
Hi, Dwayne, I'm Marie. I was also part of that Desjardins thing that you were mentioning, and the 5-year Equifax notification alerts, right down to if you opened up a new, let's say, brick store card, you would get a notification. But I think that was an internal theft issue with Desjardins. So I was told, but I just wanted to mention that at least they did their due diligence in terms of providing that 5-year credit check and alert. But I wanted to speak to pyramid schemes. Are they still in vogue? About 20 years ago, they came in all manner, shapes and forms, targeting, people to invest, and it's usually from the bottom up, and it required, someone, let's say myself, to bring in a friend, so on and so forth. Is that still very much a popular scheme?
Is it out there? Yes. There's some in the media right now about some police service, as a matter of fact, but it's out there. It's not as prolific as it once was, I would say. Actually, there's some business models and companies out there that are very comparable to a pyramid scheme. So, I would say it's not as common as it once was, but it's still there. There's money to be made. There's still people out there scamming. That's just the way it is. So, I don't see it on my portfolio, but if I had the fraud investigators who do frauds outside of my age group type thing, or my audience, or my people, as I call it, they would have some examples of that for sure. I don't know if that answers your question, right?
Yeah, it does. Can you stand one more question, or are there others out here? Others? Oh.
Hi, Dwayne. Not only are they calling now, but I was scammed a couple of months ago because I got a text from my daughter. It sounded just like her on the text. She lost her phone. I paid $21.50. And then I got it back, so she asked me to send, and that's when I knew there was something wrong. But I went to the police station to report it, and they just, I had all the information to show them with numbers and who the text was to, but they said as long as you got it back, we're not going to worry about it. Yeah. I was surprised that they didn't take the information that I had.
I've had probably 20 of those instances. It's common. So you have to understand, a lot of fraud does not originate here anymore. We know that there's, Nigeria is a big fraud center. China is a huge fraud center. And like the India, Pakistan, that whole Taiwan, that whole part of the world are where we're getting our online scams, our romance scams, our big scams are all originating from there. And we can't touch them over there right now. With regards to yours, it's common. How do you deter it? Try calling your friend or your daughter, number, right? And you say, okay, it's not you. But that's been out there. Just randomly send them out. If they get you, it's a quick buck, right? And it's hard for me to track that unless there's some transactional records and there's fake accounts. There's a whole bunch of problems. I can talk to you for hours and hours about some of the stuff that goes on. Some of them are being addressed. But our charter and our privacy rights in Canada, again, this is only my opinion, are a little off balance. And so there's got to be some medium. As we all know, there's a pendulum in life, and maybe there's a little bit of room for improvement. And I think they're working towards it. And they're trying to make us feel safe because I work hard for my money. I don't need somebody helping themselves do it. So I would question anything like that all the time. That's just the way I am now.
You just feel stupid.
Well, that's the thing. They're good at what they do, and you think, that makes sense.
Hi, Dwayne. I'm Sophia, and my question is, how do I protect myself from someone putting a lien on the house?
Well, the nosies, they can't do it anymore. As of last week, was in the media, what day was that? Just the last day the House sat, the provincial House sat. It was only an Ontario issue. I don't know the law that way. I know the criminal system outside of that. You can always check on it though, right? But unfortunately, if somebody put an OC before, if you didn't do it in a timely manner, there's not much they can do about it. So I don't know what the circumstances would be without, because they're supposed to give you notification. What they were doing on the nosies is you're signing a contract in the back of the fine print, it was hidden in there, you didn't have to be notified. So most people, they put a lien on your property or your residence or anything, they have to give you full notice, and it's usually be certified or something significant. It can't be like, I told you, right? So that's the awareness, and you have to monitor it, to be honest. Anymore, if I've got a substantial portfolio, I'm probably gonna have either me or somebody I really trust monitor it so they can maintain it. So maybe, I think it's $35 Ontario, Service Ontario can have a check to see what's on there, because it's the history of that property, that parcel, gets registered on that registry from the day it was like, I don't know how far back it goes, but a long ways back to when you own that property. So it'll show it on there for you if you feel the need. I don't know what else to say that way. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Neil, do you have any comment on that? Do you know anything around kind of mortgage fraud?
The one thing I would say, this sort of doesn't help us. This doesn't necessarily help against somebody putting a lien on your house, but you can actually get title insurance, and it protects the title of your home, so someone can't somehow fake a document, pretend they're you signing it, taking it to the bank. It protects your claim on your property, but it doesn't necessarily help you against signing a contract where the fine print says, you know, the X amount you owe for the roof goes as a lien against your home.
Other questions? Oh, yeah, I'll come over somehow.
Just back to the notice of security incidents, they did an experiment where they put a Google thermostat on a house for $130, they put a $13,000 lien on the property. That's how it used to be. It's gone now.
I've heard that there's a recent scam out about SIM card scams. So what effectively happens is somebody has access to your phone, they're able to change passwords, they're able to deal with the bank, and people have lost money that way. Have you had any experience with these SIM cards?
Yes, it's a very common one as well. Again, I could talk about frauds forever. When you change the number, so a SIM card has some very important information. It's part of your phone. You take it out and put it in. Bad guys use them to switch phones real quick. How to make this brief? If they steal your SIM card, which it's usually when you change a phone number or something like that, so you should ask for it back or keep it, because the guys that are making whatever minimum wage selling phones at the booth in the mall might get paid a bunch of money to get a SIM card. Make sure you keep that SIM card yourself and destroy it, because that can allow them to get into your phone. They get into your phone and you use it for passwords and use online banking. They can get into your bank accounts. They can start stealing your identity through that and get into your banks. That's a general term. We can talk a long time about it after if you want, but it is out there. It's fairly common. And I say that, like, it doesn't happen every day, but it's something I hear about frequently, and I've investigated a few times. I have an active investigation trying to track somebody down that's wanted, and it's between the GTA and Calgary. It's a SIM card swap organized crime unit. So it is something to be mindful. Again, if you're going to change your phone number or change phone companies and that, just ask them to give you your SIM card, watch them, that's all. Again, be aware, not afraid.
That's a good one, never heard that. Any other questions? Oh, Marie. Just carefully up in that.
Yeah, I'll talk fast. I'm a retired probation parole officer, as is my girlfriend in Peterborough. The Peterborough girlfriend, Louise, got ripped off for $25,000 from her bank. How she suspected this happened, and she's exceedingly conscientious and cautious about everything, is that when she went to one of those department stores, either the Brick or Leon's, I can't remember, and they were doing a credit check to issue a new department store credit card, she let go of her license. Of course, they take it to the office, photocopy it, return it to her. She's in Peterborough. Here in Halton, they went to the Scotiabank, created a new identity. It was just bizarre, but $25,000. Thankfully, she got it back. But it drew me back to my scenario in the fall, December. I did the exact same thing. And I never let go of my license, but I did. I gave it to the salesperson. Off they went to the front office to copy it. And then I started to get panicky too. What if? Thankfully, nothing happened, but it goes to mind about being aware of who and to whom you're surrendering your personal identification. It was out of my sight for 10 minutes. Something could have happened, but it didn't, so I was thankful. But with my girlfriend's, $25,000 was lost, and it took about 6 weeks to recover it from the bank.
Yep.
Any comment on that?
Yes, good story there, well, past story, but it does happen. So one of the things they're trying to change is when you register with the bank, they're not allowed to take your photo ID. They'll put you register with your driver's license, put the number down. So I was doing an investigation a few months ago, and I can run a picture through MTO, and the picture of my bad guy had 14 identities. So our driver's license technology is 26 years old. It's probably one of the most fabricated pieces of identification out there, and they know this. They're trying to allow the banks to have more photo ID when they sign you up for an account, and with the picture I can run it, so we can at least find out there's several of these accounts. So it's a problem with our privacy laws again. They need to tweak them and change them somewhat to give us, the citizens in the community, the opportunity to not be defrauded in these situations. Because that identity theft is huge with the banks. The banks are pretty good with it, but they don't have any way to track or investigate that at all either. And it's organized crime that are involved in those types of things. So it's a problem. Everybody's aware of it. What gets done with it, I'm not sure, but it's not unusual. I'm not sure if that helps, but it's something we're aware of for sure.
I have a question. It's, well, not a question really. It's CBC said yesterday, I think it was yesterday, when I was in my vehicle about cars that are stolen, that once you've been arrested once, you have to pay a certain amount of fine, but it won't be ongoing. They'll have to do time.
I doubt that. I know for a fact that our teams have arrested people 3 times in 10 days.
No, but this is new.
Yeah, but how are they gonna enforce it? They won't hold them in jail. So we have a direction from basically the government of Canada that they will not keep people in custody. We're gonna release. Right now, they don't even want us to arrest people right now. They want us to put them through diversion if possible. Right away. They don't want to jail court systems. My personal examples of this, I had a trial that was going to trial with 2 other trials. On one day trial, there was three of us going through, and the other main trial was a violent trial, so intimate partner violence, where somebody was hurt, and he had to juggle 3 trials within probably 6 hours of court time. He goes, "What do you think of yours?" Mine was easy to get rid of at that point in time because it already kind of gone full circle. My victim had been deceased, and she never wanted her son to be in jail anyway, so it took care of itself, so it was easy to get rid of it. But if I put forth, which I have, an investigation where I put through 40 warrants, a year's investigation, 300 hours through, the Crown's like, "That's too messy, I'm not gonna proceed with that, that's a civil case." That's what happens because frauds are not sexy, for lack of better terms. They don't prosecute. So with regards to cars, they can say whatever they want. The jails are full already. They don't want people in there. We can't afford it. And the system's so far behind, it's broken right now. So I don't see that ever working. I think there should be some sort of like a 3-strike rule or something similar, where I'm all about people making mistakes, we all have. But at some point you gotta draw a line. Okay, you messed up too many times, you're just a bad person in a bad situation, you need to sort this out. So I just don't see that happening yet. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they do start locking these guys up.
It's starting to sound a little bit like our healthcare. Somebody over here had a question. Oh.
Hi, my name's Maura. Thank you for your presentation today. It's been very insightful. If anyone's wondering about keywords and passwords and things like that, my old computer guy at work said that you should use a phrase, something that's familiar to you, like "don't sit in that chair," or something like that, something easy to remind yourself and you don't necessarily have to write it down. Make it unique to specific accounts, not to use it for everyone. Because if the bad guys get your password, they can use it on everything. So maybe a series of numbers, like you suggested, either before or after the phrase. And I haven't been hacked, and everything is secure, and I've had years of doing that. And it's been really, really, really helpful.
Thank you for that. The issue that I find with passwords now is with the new encryption. I'm not sure everybody knows what encryption is, but they make it, basically you get a whole bunch of information, jumble it up in a big mess, and you send it away that way. So now with encryption, they want you to change your password more frequently. So it becomes challenging to come up with new words all the time. I don't know. If there's any strategy that's changing and you're okay with it, now it's evolving with you and you're not forgetting your passwords and writing them down and stuff, that's the way to go with it.
Yeah, Dwayne, one thing I've noticed, and maybe it's common, when the phone rings, you pick it up, you say hello, but never say yes. Yes, say hello, and I wait 2 seconds. If I don't hear a voice, I hang up. Because the system is looking for audio from a person. So, and like you said, if it's important enough, they'll leave a message. So, that's just something to save a lot of hassle.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't even pick it up, to be honest, anymore. Because when there, it's called VoIP calling, so it's voice over internet protocol. So it's basically computer-generated phone calls, not even through a phone line anymore. And they just send them out random. They just send them out random to everybody, right? So they're just waiting for somebody to pick up, and there's like operators there, and a whole set, they call them boiler rooms, and they start to spin on you as soon as somebody picks up. So if you don't even pick it up, you're not worried about it, right?
I just have a quick question. We were talking about TAP. You were talking about how TAP is the safest way. Does that apply to your phone wallet as well? So
I would say yes. Your
yes,
phone is
okay.
probably the most secure. If you have an up-to-date smartphone, it's probably the most secure device out there, right? I don't push anything. I love Apple products because they update all the time, but it's not the best. I say Google's better and all this other stuff better. That's a debate, but yes, it's very, because they're encrypted, right? So you have the encryption of your card in there, and usually more encryption than the tap option in your card. So yes.
Okay.
That's what I've been told by the banks.
One last question. Okay. My daughter got a phone call from a girlfriend from university that had a scam where she was approached by a vehicle that looked like a taxi. And they called her over and said, oh, I'm sorry, but can you just help me? I just need you to tap $7. I couldn't pay for my cab. And she did it. And they actually took her card, and when they brought it into the cab, they swapped it out for another card, and then ran around town and spent money on her debit card, but she was devastated because being a university student, you know, you don't have much money. So my daughter caught somebody else scamming somebody just recently and came over and grabbed the girl and said, just walk away. So
yeah, that's it's the pizza. They'll do pizza in the parking lot. That's what they like. I can pay cash here, and they swap the cards. Just on that note, before we end, everybody's card. So every financial institution, the first, I think it's 5 numbers on your card are all the same. So when you get an email or something random that's saying, you know, this number, this number, this number, and then it's all these stars after that's been breached, the first 5 numbers are the same for all of us that have that bank. That's the identification number for the financial institution. So they do that all the time. And again, we could talk for hours and hours about scams, there's no end to them, but I think we're just still done, right?
yeah, we are.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
So thanks so very much, Constable Neum. And so scammers and fraudsters are busy bad people, and you're even busier trying to stay ahead of them. And thank you and for everything that you're doing to keep us safe, and for our Halton Regional Police for doing everything to make our community such a better place. So once again, I just want to thank everybody for coming today. Again, our educational partners, without your help, we wouldn't be able to put this on. Thank you. It's been wonderful to celebrate our 1-year anniversary, 1-year birthday with you. It's a little bit embarrassing because the surprise today was that Sunshine Donuts are they here? No. No. They were gonna come by with some treats for you, so hopefully they will still show up. They said they were gonna be here at 3 o'clock, but if they don't, I'm gonna have like a lot of donuts, so. Hang around.
Yes, they are right next door, literally.
So one way or another, yes, sir. Okay, they're on their way. So that's the next session is on. Oh, there we go, thank them. Wednesday, July the 10th, it's estate planning tips and traps. So that will be a great session. It's Debbie Stanley. The name of her company is escaped me right now, but it'll be a great session. We talk a lot about estate planning, wills and estates and everything, and you could come every week. We could have one every week, and it'd always be something that you learn or come away with. So if you've been here before, don't worry about that you're going to have a repeat of that. It's not the case at all. Yeah. Please do fill out your evaluation forms. Those are very helpful information for us as we plan and as we're going to now start planning for 2025, I would say. But your feedback is really important to us. And once again, thank you, and pleasure being with you this afternoon. I hope you all come away with some value. Oh, sorry. One more thing. I have. So I mentioned last